Hello guys, how's it going? It's Joe from Backwoods Inc. Uh, Gonna do a little podcast episode here. Uh, Talk about what I've been seeing in the woods, and what I went and did today. Uh, Today I got out and done some scouting. Uh, was gonna do a YouTube presentation, but I couldn't get my camera to act, couldn't function properly, so I just decided to do a little small podcast like this right here and explain what I was going to do in the video. So, when I was talking about how to follow access trails and roads to find deer and to track deer that way, what I like to do is I'll get on an access trail or a ATV trail or something in that nature and just walk down the road or the path until I see tracks going across the road, or if it's a gravel road, I'll look in the ditches to see tracks on either side of the road. And once I find the tracks and I see what direction they're heading in, I'll pull out my cell phone and my mapping tools. I use the Spartan Forge technology app. It's a good mapping app, and I use that once I find the tracks, and I see which way those deer are traveling. So instead of me having to follow the tracks that I find, I can just go straight to the app and look to see where they was headed. So like sometimes I'll be going down a road walking, or sometimes I'll even be driving my truck really slow, just looking at tracks. And when I see where the tracks are going, I'm like, well, those tracks over there is headed toward food. Because I look at my app and I can tell, there's, uh, you know, agriculture fields off in the distance, or on the other end, they may be, oak flats or bottomland that you could tell those oaks. If I see a lot of thickness and it's maybe a clear cut or something like that, then most of the time that's bedding features, and that's how I figure out a lot of my deer, and I track them that way. A lot of people say you got to have snow to track a deer. You don't really have to have snow at all to track a deer. But anyway, once I get all these tracks marked, I keep on traveling down the road until, or the path until it comes to an end. And then I look at all the tracks and all the mapping of that one area, and those deer, they got to cross, that access path if they want to get to the other side. The same as a power line, a railroad track. Um, there's all sorts of things out there that when a deer comes to, if it wants to go to the other side, it's going to have to cross it, even if it's a highway. So I have had luck walking up and down those roads finding the tracks. And then when I find the one that's most consistent, the ones that's showing tracks going and coming from the same direction, like say you got tracks going to the right going to feed, and then I got tracks real close by, like, within 75 yards of that, it's coming back across the road that shows them going into bed, then I'll set up and I'll figure out a way to hunt that. Sometimes I'll just hunt the access path right there in the road or off on side of the road. And I've had good luck like that. And it's really, really easy to do that because once you figure out where they're crossing, then you know where they're bedding, and then you know where they're eating. You don't need a camera. You don't need anything. You just pull up your phone and you look at your map app. I don't care which one it is you run. Like I said, I choose the Spartan Forge app, and that's my go-to. So, but that's a good way to track deer without snow. And then once you get to go in there after them, it's best to, of course, let them get bedded first. I have better luck doing this in the evening. I'll find where the tracks was headed into the bedding area, and I'll go in just a little ways and set up, try to catch deer coming out in the evening. Gonna go back across those roads or the paths, and I have good luck like that. And I've taken several nice deer doing this. And sometimes what I'll do is if I see some feeding tracks going toward food, if it's in the morning or midday or something like that, I will still hunt my way through there. And I may walk 30 yards every, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. I mean, it takes a while to cover. I'm like 1 or 2 steps, stop. 1 or 2 steps, stop. 3 or 4 steps, stop. I try to mimic a deer as I'm doing this. Same way a deer does as it's feeding. I don't want to sound like I'm sneaking, so I'll just take just normal steps. And if I crunch leaves, I crunch them. I'm not really worried about it. Because even a squirrel, makes racket in the woods, and deer notice other animals walking around the woods all the time. But as long as they don't smell you or see you, you're fine. But I'm constantly, as I'm doing this, I got an arrow nocked, I got my bow ready, and I'm glassing. I got my binos out where I can lay them up on top of the cam of my bow, and I'm glassing through these woods. And a lot of times I'll walk up on deer that's bedded, and sometimes I'll walk up on a deer that's just standing there feeding. Sometimes they see me and they jump up, but they don't run very far because they don't know what you are because they didn't smell you, and they'll stop to look back, and then that's when you get that shot, especially if you're gun hunting. And if you got 2 people, this works really good because if he jumps one that runs towards you, you'll get the shot. If you jump one that runs towards him, he'll get the shot. But what I like to do is I like to cover a little bit of ground following these tracks. I may go around through there, you know, no more than 100 yards an hour. And it takes that long, for me to move that far because I'm taking my time. And I still have deer walk up on me. I'll be still hunting, take 4 or 5 steps, wait 3 or 4 minutes, then all of a sudden I hear something coming. Well, there's a deer. And I still do soft grunts, and sometimes I'll sit down and do a small rattling sequence or something if it's that time of year. But I've had a lot of luck doing this. And the video I was making the day before my camera equipment failed me, I've got to get that taken care of, was all about this. And I was actually showing technique and stuff, and I'm going to have to get out and redo it all. It was actually my computer software that failed, and it really, I had to take a step back and go outside and breathe for a little while because it really upset me when I lost that footage. So you spend half a day creating something and editing something, and then you lose the footage. It just makes you sick, and it happens sometimes, and that's just part of learning, especially with this new you know technology we got going on these days. Ain't nothing like what it was when I was a younger feller. We walked down the roads when I was a younger feller and found tracks. We'd have to follow them and try to figure out which side was bed and which side was food because we didn't know. We may have to walk 2 or 3 miles back in yonder somewhere just to find out why they was headed that way. And that really burnt the spots up like that. And being able to just walk through there is finding fresh tracks where they're crossing these crossings is so much easier pulling up that app and you're like, well, there's a transition line back there, or there's some really thick cover in there, or there's terrain over there that's going to cause bedding features, and it's a lot easier to do that. And you can look over and see ag and stuff like that. We didn't know this back in the day. You had to really get out and do a lot of walking, and a lot of times, we ran a lot of deer off doing it too. So I really love my Spartan Forge app. You can use any app you want to, but it's a good technique, and just follow you an old road, old logging road, old any type of road, access path. Once you see the tracks, figure out where them tracks is going by using your mapping tools, and set in on a stalk on them. Or you can just sit back, let them come back across the path, or see if they come across the path. If they don't, then you're going to have to hunt the bedding side, and just make you a little half circle, get in there somewhere downwind from where you think they might be. Just go in 100 yards the first day and hunt. Go in 200 yards the next day and hunt. As long as you're going to be able to keep an eye on them, because if they're crossing that road, it doesn't matter if you booger them in one spot, they'll just move up to a different spot, as long as you don't blow them completely out of the area. So, that's a real good technique. And, anyway, that's, what most of my video was about. This here is kind of just a test run to see how this, podcast and stuff would go. Uh, anyway, you guys, thanks. I'd like you to like and subscribe. There'll be a lot more stuff to come when I get everything up and running right. It's just equipment right now is acting up and being ridiculous. So appreciate it, guys. Good night.